get all this. I chose the icebreaker today around music since our guests are musicians. So, Mike, I'm gonna let you kick it off and do the icebreaker, and everyone can feel free to share. If this is your first time here, put your name, where you're located in the chat. And then if you want to share your icebreaker publicly, you can shout it out or you can add that in the chat as well.
Yeah. So I've got the question in the chat. So everyone should be ready to go on this one. What song or album can you listen to on repeat without getting tired of it? So this is your go-to stuff here. Who wants to kick us off? Who's got a song, album?
I mean, I'll share. Mine is Fleetwood Mac's Rumors record because my parents found an original unopened version of that for me. It's over here somewhere. I have to find it. But I listened to it on repeat at like age 15 and 16, and it's still so good. It aged so well. So that's my pick.
Good choice. I would say mine is Sound of Silver by LCD Sound System.
A good one.
That's a good one, yeah. Anything by LCD, really.
Yeah.
I have, of course, so many of them floating in my brain where I'm like, well, it depends, like what kind of mood am I in? But if it's just like all time, never get tired of it, can listen to it whenever. Mew, M-E-W, is a band that you guys might be familiar with, but they're, I think, originally from Denmark, but they have an album called And the Glass-Handed Kites. And I remember like exactly where I was the first time I like played it through. I had some friends that were musicians and they kept talking to me about this album, and I listened to it, and it was one of those albums that was like an acquired taste. Like the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm like vibing with this yet, or like I couldn't, but then like once I started going through a couple of the songs, it's one of those albums that it's like, I don't know what the technical term is, but like that continues. So each song kind of flows and continues into the next song, but it's all super different, which is, that kind of blew my mind. So it was like when I started the record, like the first song I was like, what? This is kind of crazy. It's a bunch of drums and guitar and everything kind of bleeding together. And then it just kind of carries the story. And by the end of the album, I was literally like crying. It was just so good. So that has turned into being like one of my all-time favorite records. I still listen to it constantly.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. Everybody should put theirs in the chat just so everybody can check. Okay, yeah, we're people know what's up. It's greatly appreciated. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we got some more people jumping in. So we're talking about what song or album can you listen to on repeat without getting tired of it? Mm-hmm. Who wants to share?
What do you think? I like first a song for me would be At Last by Etta James. I love everything about that song.
That's a good song.
I can just listen to it over and over. I don't know. I think probably Grace by Jeff Buckley. It's a really good album.
Oh, I love Jeff Buckley.
Me too.
You girls have covered the, Hallelujah, right, before?
Yeah.
It's so beautiful whenever you guys sing that. I love that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I feel like the song is tough. Picking a single song is tough. An album, like you guys are saying, it's a vibe, it's a whole thing, it's an experience. A single song, I don't have a song. I don't have a song. My album is Channel Orange by Frank Ocean. That's just
that's a great album.
Yeah, that puts me in the right place. Yeah.
Frank can do no wrong.
I know, right? Yeah. But I don't know a song. Every song I think of, I'm like, well,
actually I can think of a song, and it's mostly because it has a lot of sentimental value. Is that
sure?
My grandfather, who's no longer with us, used to sing Van Morrison's Brown-Eyed Girl to me all the time as a little
man,
because I was the only grandchild, and I had brown eyes. So like I could listen to that song over and over. It just makes me think of my granddad. Makes me think of summer.
Oh, that's so great.
Mm-hmm.
I have Jimmy, my 8-year-old, would tell you that Savage Love is his favorite song of all time and could listen to it all the time because that is what I get to hear at my house 24/7. Alexa, play Savage Love. And then he has to like repeat it. So he plays the clean version. But basically any like TikTok song is like his go-to. And he doesn't even have a TikTok. So I have no idea how he's like discovering all of these, but it's news. 8-year-old.
So you got songs on repeat and you're not even trying.
No.
You got it. Yeah, songs and albums. We're looking for some. Oh yeah, we got some stuff in the chat here. Hold up. Whoa.
Oh, that's funny.
Lauren shared Queen, Coldplay. All right. Yeah, I've never heard of Mew, so I'm gonna give that a go.
Yeah, they're cool. I want to hear from John Schaefer. I'm curious to see what you're listening to. Like, what's a good album that you like to hear all the time?
Well, something I've been listening to over and over is the upcoming album by the girls, but
that's exciting.
Album. God, I don't even know. Well, I mean, Kind of Blue, it kind of filters into everything. The Miles Davis album, not a whole lot of lyrics in that one, but I do listen to it a lot.
Yeah, he's dreamy. I just heard like, is it Bitches Brew or something like that was like really funky. And I was like it was so hard.
My favorite of his.
You know, it's like, that was the first one that I was kind of like, oh, this is not, when I think of Miles Davis is not what I think of Miles.
No.
Like, wouldn't pick up on that, but
No,
I like it as all of his other stuff.
Yes. Yeah. That was my least favorite of any of his albums.
Who else is ready to share? Who's got songs? Craig?
I'll share mine. I would say Amy Winehouse's 2006 Back to Black album.
R.I.P. Great record.
Yeah,
Solid.
I'm trying to remember. I actually had just posted, I'm admittedly like trying to make a playlist for work because I can only like listen to like focus playlists on Spotify and stuff for so long where I'm like, okay, this isn't really like doing anything for me. So I like kind of put out a post where it's like, everyone just lay on your instrumentals. And there was this album, I can't remember the actual band's name, but there's an album called Electric Monkey Sessions. And honestly, it's super good. It's really funky. So if you need anything instrumental with like a good beat to keep you like motivated, that one is fun. And like, you'll like dance while you're working, which is a good time.
Sarah, something that might be good for you on those playlists is if you've never listened to Explosions in the Sky, like all of that is really good.
Them.
It just reminds me of Friday Night Lights, but it's just all instrumental, but it'll really like get you going, you know.
Was Tim the quarterback, the QB? Was that his name? Tim?
No, Matt Saracen is the quarterback.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that in so long. I totally forgot about that show.
Tim Riggins is who you're thinking about.
Tim Riggins, that's it.
Yeah. I'm not even sure what position Tim Riggins plays because I'm just looking at him. I'm not really. I don't know.
He's a good football player.
Sure. Mike, I love that mug. Does it say Cat Dad?
It does.
It's the best.
Yeah.
I feel like there's not enough Cat Dad merchandise out there. There's a lot of cat.
There isn't.
Cat lady.
There isn't. It's gonna change though. We're coming.
Hey, Kylie, it's good to see you. That patio looks familiar. I'm usually in meetings with Kevin on that same patio.
I was going to say that it's weird hearing your voice not on his computer in our dining area. Hi.
So for everyone who doesn't know, Kylie's significant other and I work together. So there's a lot of Zooming between he and I.
Yeah, he works from home. And so I hear Lindsay's voice a lot. But then I got on here and I was like, that's Lindsay's voice on my computer. So weird.
Kylie, do you have a record or album you like to listen to on repeat?
I was wondering what we were talking about. I had to get my coffee. I just got out of bed. I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay, I can't name one, but lately, I'd say I've been most obsessed with. I went through a Borns phase. Borns' Dopamine album was dope. See what I did there? And then I became obsessed with one of Sia's albums. This Is Acting. I was like on repeat at the gym and in the car. But lately it's been all podcasts.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were on that same Black Pumas train as Kevin, because he's
Oh,
just,
I love Black
I
Pumas. Oh my
introduced him
God.
to that band, and now it's all he talks about. I'm like, no, I know, Kevin. I was the one who told you about that band.
I did not know that, and I've got to give him some S word about that because I had no idea. How I love Black Pumas. I didn't go as far down the rabbit hole as Kevin did. He goes like down all the YouTube videos, all the live performances. When he finds a band he loves, he just spirals. But we're going to see Black Pumas when they're coming in the Summerfest.
Super exciting.
Yeah, they're great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know what's been going on. There's been something happening at my work where everybody's sharing Black Pumas. It's like they're coming. I don't know. They because they performed at like the
they were at Roots and Blues, I think.
Right?
They were at Roots and Blues. Yeah. And then they were nominated for a Grammy.
Oh,
that's what's funny.
okay.
Kevin bought us tickets like 2 months after we started dating. We were going to go see him in Chicago, and then they got nominated for the Grammys, so they had to postpone that show. Then COVID happened. So then they had to postpone that show again. Then they had to postpone the show again. Then they were coming. So now it's in October in Chicago, but then they're coming here for Summerfest. So we're going to sell the Chicago tickets to see them at Summerfest. It's been quite a ride. But I think they were nominated 2 years at the Grammys for Best Album of the Year, I think. So they're good. They're like timeless, like soulful, haunting.
Yeah.
What's really funny is they were at Roots and Blues in 2019, and my mom came to town from Kentucky, and she loves music. So she's like, I don't know this band, but we'll go. So mom, if you've ever met my mother, this will make sense. But she was just beer in hand, like swaying in the front to that band. Well, then after, she like chased them down and was like, you're so amazing. Can I get my picture? So I've got like a series of photos of my mom and the Black Pumas guys.
Does Kevin know this?
I don't think so. I have to dig it out and show him.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see those pictures. Kevin's gonna need to see those pictures.
But they were the lead singer. I'm forgetting what his name is, but he's very shy. So she like approached him.
Eric.
Maybe that sounds about right. But he was really like shy and a little withdrawn and like was unsure of what to make of her fandom.
Probably because he was busking on the streets of Austin for years before they hit it big. And then he when you hear his voice, like he's got clearly musical theater, some training there, you can tell, but it's like there's so much soul. And then when you hear him talk, he's like, yeah, so like he does not, when he talks, he sounds nothing like the way he sings. That's kind of what fascinates me about him.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
All right, Mike.
Hi, John, by the way, and hi, girls. Hi, Burney Sisters. I forgot.
All right, we got like 1 minute left.
Yeah, if anybody wants to share, this is it.
What was his question? I know it's something about albums. Like what you're listening to now, or like the go-to?
Well, so song or album that you could listen on repeat without getting tired of it. So this is like a classic. This is a timely thing,
Oh, this is okay.
Timeless, I guess I should say.
I gotta say Queen. I didn't even I didn't know that was the whole question. My dad.
Yeah, you and Lauren.
And then, oh my God, and I was like, yeah, Queen. Like I've seen Wayne's World, I get it. But then my dad loved Queen, and he died years ago. But I saw the movie, and then I became obsessed with Queen. So it was like now my son, who's 12, knows all the words to all the Queen songs too.
Yeah.
I've been listening to the Butter Tones. Anybody? Yes, the Burney Sisters are nodding, so I feel cool.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That's good enough. I'm out now. I'm gonna mute it. I'm done.
Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my earbud. Oh, there it is.
But yeah,
I think you're on
some
mute.
links in the chat to some of their favorite stuff. Spotify links. We're gonna get going here, but feel free to share the love. Maybe we'll create like a Creative Mornings COU playlist.
Yeah,
Lindsay,
that would be so fun.
That'd be something I could share that out on social and just have people dig in and add their songs to it.
Yeah, I like that. Good deal. Cool.
All All right. Well, appreciate everyone being here this morning. I'm going to run through some announcements and slides, and then I'm going to kick it over to Sarah to introduce today's speakers. So we're really excited to have those girls here with us today. So let me get my slides going and we'll get to it. All right. So if you don't know where you are, you're at Creative Mornings. Our local chapter has several social channels. So if you're not already following us, I would suggest that you go ahead and follow and get all of the information moving forward about future events, hopefully in-person events. I went ahead and petitioned HQ for Columbia to allow us to have in-person events. They're kind of leaving. I'm just going to ask if everyone would just go on mute. I got a lot of feedback noise. If everyone would mute themselves, that'd be great. Okay, thanks everyone. But I've been petitioning them to allow us to have in-person events. So they're evaluating globally just because COVID is not under control in every area of the world. So they're trying to make sure they make a clear decision. Oh, sorry, there's a lot of feedback, guys. So if you're not muted. Otherwise, we're going to be on Zoom for the next couple of months. My hope is that by August, they'll lift those restrictions and allow us to have in-person events. So just hang tight with us until then. We'll be here on Zoom. So anyhow, and then today, if you wouldn't mind, if you're taking any photos of your screen or any screenshots of anything, tag us on social so we can include those on our social channels as well. We have a few global sponsors for Creative Mornings. So if you're not aware, there are two major global sponsors, MailChimp and Skillshare. So these just help keep our chapters going, but they also offer specific bonuses and offers to Creative Morning attendees. So with MailChimp, they are starting an initiative to really partner with small businesses to help small businesses get off the ground and to grow their business over time. If you're interested in any of these offers ever, just shoot me an email and I can send you all of the details on how to get enrolled and how to take advantage of these deals. Skillshare is our newest global sponsor. So they have a series of learning opportunities. So they have a learning library. It's very cool if you're, I mean, clearly here you can see you can learn to do like a million different things. I feel like we've all been at home a long time and maybe have been learning some new skills, but if you've got any spare time as you're getting out and about in the world, but are still interested in learning new skills and adding new skills to your repertoire, this is a good opportunity for this. I really wanted to get into some of this typography stuff. So I'm just really interested in learning more about that. So I enrolled in that class. So if there's anything here that you're interested in, or just check out Skillshare's website. If you're interested in enrolling, I can send you the discount code so you can enroll and get that Creative Mornings perk. Lastly, here we have our Creative Mornings field trips. Actually, Sarah, this morning I was looking at everyone who was enrolled and you've enrolled in like 45 things. So if you're ever interested in a field trip, Sarah might be the person to talk to about it.
I am obsessed.
So these virtual field trips essentially are an opportunity to, similar to the learning library, is to learn something or learn a new skill or just to hear from an expert in a particular field. Virtually, so from all over the world. Prior to COVID, these field trips were in person. So we maybe would take a Columbia field trip to Logboat Brewery and to learn how they brew beer. We would take one to the gallery and see how an artist puts together a particular piece of work. So rather than doing those in person, they've opened these up virtually so you can take a peek into the world of someone in Sao Paulo or New York City. So it's very cool if you're interested. These are also always going to be free. You just enroll like you did for this event today. And then log into the Zoom. So Sarah, have you taken any interesting field trips lately?
I mean, I have a couple a week. I just took, I do a lot of the remote cave sessions. So I don't know if anyone else has this problem. I have a tinge of ADHD. It has been diagnosed, but I like to just argue that I am human. And so I've been taking these deep remote cave sessions, they call them. And it's basically this group where like everyone gets online, you like talk about your goal or what you're going to be working on for the next hour and a half. So a lot of time I'll line it up with like big projects that I have going on at work. And then you kind of all like huddle up together and like dive in like 60 minutes, you're on a timer and you see how much work you can get done. And it is bizarre how much I crammed in an hour versus like what could get done all day. So that one was really neat and just interesting way to like parse out my day. And then I did like a LinkedIn workshop with a gal, Patricia Obang, and that was wonderful too. So just, it helps me kind of like beef up my LinkedIn profile a little bit because I'm on that a lot for work. But there's always super fun ones. It can be even like personal stuff like meditation 101 or chakras or whatever. And then it gets all the way into like just different gallery visits and things like that. So there's a whole slew of things.
Very cool. Yeah, so when we do launch in person again, we'll be seeking out opportunities to take field trips to various local locations. So thanks for sharing about that. It reminded me of when I was working on a creative communications team. There were 10 of us, and we had every afternoon from 2 to 3, which is usually like the slump in the day. We always called it our power hour. And so we would like blare the loudest music possible and then have coffee, but it was like no one can talk to anyone, and we would just heads down for an hour and work. It's a very similar concept.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much you can get done.
Oh yeah.
All right, moving forward, before we start each event, we like to read aloud the Creative Mornings Manifesto just to kind of reset and remind ourselves of why we're here. So I've asked Craig on our team to read this aloud for us. And then from there, Sarah, I'll introduce the theme, and then you can introduce our speakers.
Sure.
Everyone is creative. A creative life requires bravery and action, honesty and hard work. We are here to support you, celebrate with you, and encourage you to make the things you love. We believe in the power of community. We believe in giving a damn. We believe in face-to-face connections, in learning from others, in jazz hands, virtual claps, and virtual snaps. We bring together people who are driven by passion and purpose, confident that they will inspire one another and inspire change in neighborhoods and cities around the world. Everyone is welcome.
Thanks, Craig. So this month's theme is matriarchy. So our Creative Mornings chapter in Rotterdam, which is in Holland, chose this theme. The theme and illustration is always chosen by one of our chapters. This illustration was done by Sverige Altena. If you'd like to check more about her work, I can send you the link to that, but this is a really beautiful piece in my opinion. So we're really excited to have our speakers today talk through this theme. So with that in mind, Sarah, I'm going to have you introduce our speakers, and then we will go from there.
Perfect. I am super excited about this one. Personal, and I mean, just like, even if I didn't personally know them, they're fantastic. So when it comes to Creative Mornings themes each month, particularly this month being matriarchy, as Lindsay just mentioned, like most months, there's about 1 million ways to go, and folks that we get excited about or want to talk to or hear from. So sometimes, honestly, the best way, I think, is to start simply just by like reading out loud the definition sometimes, and just like thinking of the first people that pop into my head. So when I was, thinking about matriarchy and all the different meanings, one of the things of being, a powerful older women in a family or group, honestly, I couldn't, it was immediate. The Burneys and their whole family just kind of popped in. I know that this is about matriarchy specifically, but we have John here too, who's a really big help with the girls too. So I want to honor him as well. But their whole family is so inspiring. They have done so many wonderful things for the community. And the dynamics that April, the mom of the girls, has with them is just so interesting and wonderful and inspiring to me as a mom too. And the first time I got to experience their beautiful harmonies was like 3 or 4 years ago at one of my friends' weddings. And I was like absolutely blown away by hearing these voices on stage. And that was before I even knew like their age. Like, I don't care how old they were, they sounded incredible. But then once I actually also heard how old they were, I was like, what? Because this was also like 3 or 4 years ago. So then I was like totally taken back. And I remember just seeing this like freckled faced, really beautiful, smiling like woman, just kind of like butterflying through the crowd and kind of like going up to the stage and making sure the girls were set. And she made everything look easy, which I can't imagine that that's actually easy, but the way that she does it is impressive. And also then once you also get to know the girls and seeing that not only are they super musically gifted, but they are just really lovely, joyful people to be around. So when we thought about matriarchy, I was like, man, this would be such a great opportunity to hear not only from the girls talk about the dynamic with their mom, but just be able to hear kind of the impact that she's had on them creatively and how April's been able to instill that creativity in their upbringing. So I'm very excited to kick it over to the Burney Sisters. I'll let you girls take it away, and we'll see what you guys have in store for us.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, so we're gonna do this speech. I just want to say that I'm not like a professional speaker or anything, but I'm just gonna try to, go with it, try to be as, I don't know, genuine as I can be. I wrote some stuff down, so I'll just read that. I guess I'll go first. Do you want to, or do you want me to?
Yeah.
Okay. So as I was thinking about doing this kind of like speech or talk, I was trying to remember like my first memories of music. And so I have a few actually, but one of them was like me sleeping. I think I was really young. I can't even remember how young I was, but I was listening to the Little Mermaid soundtrack on this little tiny CD player that my mom got for me. And I feel like it was very important since we were like really, really young to always have music in the house. Like, even if it's just for her playing and stuff, but I feel like that had a huge influence on us, and especially on like hearing different things in songs, or I don't know, kind of expecting what comes next in music, because it was just always around. Our house is very loud. It always has been very loud. You know, sorry, I don't know what I'm saying. Sorry, I'm kind of nervous. Anyways, so yeah, what I have here, she would play music while she cooked and always, sing around the house. When we were really young, we asked her how we could learn how to sing harmony, because that's always something she was very interested in. And so, harmony is really hard to teach, especially like to really young kids. And we were just like, oh, can you teach us harmony? Just thinking it was going to be like really easy or something. But, she would, go through it and be really patient with us, and like, give us a break if we needed it, if we were getting too upset with it or something. And she just had a lot of patience with us, and still has. And that's something that really, really stands out to me, because I don't know, I look at her all the time and like think about how much that I wouldn't be able to like have that patience with somebody and, try to help them through a bunch of things. So that's what I admire about her being a mother. And I know that I'll never understand what it is to be a mother until something like that would happen to me. But so yeah, I had a conversation with my grandmother yesterday, and she played music for 6 years in a band with a couple of her husbands. And it's really interesting to me to learn. I learned yesterday that she played violin and cello when she was younger as well, which Emma plays those, which is really cool to hear. And apparently we just have a lot of music in our family, from her and our mom's dad. Both of them played for a little while. And some bands, like I think grandma said that she did like a hotel tour or something like that. They just went to a bunch of different like Holiday Inns or something like that and played there. But no, it was really great to be able to talk to her about that. It sounded like it was I don't know, something that she really enjoyed speaking about. And she was kind of sad that she had stopped doing it. Let's see. Yeah. Another thing that I really admire about my mom is her work ethic. Like at the moment, she is a band manager, merch seller, like booking agent. She also has her crochet business on the side. Like she's a real hustler, and I think that's really, really cool. And she's always taught us that in your life you always have to work. Like no matter who it is, pretty much everyone has to work. And so something that makes life worthwhile is finding a job that really like fulfills you, and or at least giving back that really fulfills you, something that you can use to cope with the hard things in life. And especially if your job is something that you love to do, then it makes life especially more enjoyable. So that's why, us playing music and stuff has really meant a lot to her, because if we enjoy it, then she really, wants to make that a reality and help. So that's what I have to say.
Awesome.
Yeah. My mom, she's always been like, probably the biggest part of my life. We were homeschooled, so she pretty much has taught us everything, even school wise. But yeah, I remember she taught me harmony at 7, I think. I asked her if she would teach me harmony, and I think there was no like particular song that she taught me. It was just, we would do this all the time in the car and around the house. Like one person would like sing one note and then the other would find another harmony note, and then we would just keep going on until it's like, all pretty. And then I think the first song I was able to figure out singing harmony, and I was so excited about this. It was "Eye of the Tiger" by Katy Perry.
Really? That's incredible.
Yeah, it's called Roar. Roar, yeah. But I just remember I was able to do it when it came on the radio or something. Yeah. I was like, ah! And now we like, our mom does this too. We can't go back from like singing harmony to everything that's like playing now, because it'll be like around the house. A song will be playing or something, and we'll sing harmony to it, and all of us will be singing harmony to it, or we'll all be singing different songs in different rooms around the house. Our house is very musical. Yeah, very, very, very loud, very, I don't know, bustling. Yeah, and she's also very artsy. I do like realistic sketches, and actually my mom does that, and she did that while I was growing up. She hasn't done it in a while, but I think that's probably where my inspiration came, to start doing some of my realistic sketch thingies.
She's a huge creator and like lover of all things creative. Like always around our house, we've always been encouraged to make music or make crafts, and always like find a way to like get something done. That's another thing that I really admire about her, is that like nothing can't be done. Like she's always going to find a way to like get what she wants, like do the hard work and put that in.
She's always, I don't know, she's kind of put it on our brain since we were, little, that we can be or do anything we want, because people will even be like, oh yeah, and I'll be an astronaut, and it's like, you could be if you tried. Yeah, I mean, it all just takes effort, and she kind of put that in our brains. And like, I've heard lots of stories of people singing around the house, or other things, and people will just, their parents will shut them down, or tell them to quit that. And even we did not sound perfect when we started. It was not amazing.
Kind of screechy.
Yeah, but I mean, she wanted us to, be happy with what we were doing. So
yeah,
she put the effort into making it happen.
Especially when you were learning violin.
That
was quite interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, she loves spending time with us, because I've also heard a lot of, and we love spending time with her, and because I've heard a lot of parents that will just be like, oh, I can't stand my kids, and she's never been like that. Like, she always wants to be around us, and that's like, we love her.
Yeah.
And I just remember, since we were really little, she would read us books. There was one, what was it? It was, you were just talking about
the bear book.
Yes, it was like
going on a bear hunt.
Yeah, we're going on a bear hunt, something like that.
Yeah, she also encouraged us a lot to read. Definitely, like that has grown into me being a writer. Like reading a lot when I was really young. At 13, I was like in my room reading like 500-page books in like a day. And like, I don't even know how that happened, but she would always be like, oh, here, have this, like read this, like in your free time. And it just, kind of built to where I really loved it. And I really loved writing. And I have like this little memo from when I was a little girl trying to write a song, and it's like called Rebel Girl or something like that. And it's like so funny. It's like a little bit off tune, and like I'm putting my all into it, and I'm like, rebel girl at heart. Like, it's so funny. It's so funny. Yeah, she would always be like, oh, what you working on there? And ask us, and, you know, we'd show her and she'd be like, wow, good job. I'll leave you to it. And, you know,
and yeah, she's supported us through, like, you know, all of the hobbies we've had. Like music has, you know, obviously stuck around the longest, but I just remember there was a short time when I wanted to be a ballerina. She got me discs for that. I don't even think I washed them. I wanted to like play softball, so she like let me go to the softball camp, and like there was a bunch of stuff, but I mean, every single time she would, like, you know, put effort into making it happen. So I remember when we first started out, like, playing music, you know, she was like, you're not just gonna, you know, sit there and be pretty and just show up and, you know, sing. You know, you're gonna learn how to actually do it, so people don't, you know, like, you know, take advantage of, you know, your business. And so we started having music meetings every single week. And it was twice a week back then. It's once a week now. But yeah, that really helped. She has a lot of motivation for that kind of thing. Yeah, and the whole kind of reason we started picking up instruments was because she just started placing them around the house. Thinking, you know, if they're around the house, they might pick them up. Right. And let's see, we had a keyboard and a guitar, I think. Is what we had at first.
I had a little blue guitar that I got from my brother for my birthday when I was like 6 years old. And I remember I'd always wanted a guitar, and he was supposed to teach me, but he never did before he moved out. But that's so funny that I like wanted a guitar like at 6 years old, and like I didn't start playing it until like I was 11 or something. But yeah, it was just always around. Like there was always this kind of like foreshadowing of music in our like early life, which I think is like really interesting to look back on now.
Yeah, and she has a beautiful voice. She just doesn't show it in public because she has nerves about that. But, you know, it's actually a really nice voice. You know, she actually has pitch. She's actually really good. My dad is not on here, but he doesn't have pitch.
Not John. He can play trumpet.
Oh yeah, John plays trumpet. Yeah. John is very musical, so we've kind of been surrounded by that. But that's kind of, she definitely instilled music in us. People were talking about Queen earlier, and she used to play Queen.
Yeah, we used to play Queen in the car, and she also used to play like Journey's Greatest Hits. Like definitely we would listen to that, and Emma was totally like a little Journey girl. Like loved it. But no, it's okay. Like it's fine. But
anyway, and she's also really, really great at making connections. You know, everyone who meets her is like, you're just
she's such a people person. Like that's something I've learned from her for sure. It's like being a connector. Like we read about this. I don't know if you guys have ever read like Malcolm Gladwell Outsiders, or is it Outliers? Outliers. Right. And I think in that book, or it was one of his books, they were talking about I just
certain kind of people.
Certain kind of people, like connectors. And so I don't know if you've read about that, but I definitely feel like she's one of those connectors, because everybody she meets is like, oh, I want you to meet this other person, and they become friends and they meet their own friends. And it's like this entire like community that she's made around the world, and also like Colombia, which I think is really inspiring. And like, that's just amazing for me to see, and for us to grow up in. I think is an incredible thing.
Yeah.
So
we were gonna interview her and have her respond to some questions.
Let's see if we can all scooch in.
If you guys have any questions for her, let us know. Oh yeah.
Oh hi guys.
This is her.
Hello.
The myth, the legend.
The legend.
Yes. All right. So yeah, we've got a few questions here to ask you. What would you say is the biggest influence on your teaching style? Or like, I don't know, what taught you how to teach? Or did you just figure it out on your own?
No, I had no idea what I was doing with the homeschool thing. I met this really cute family in the park when Olivia was around kindergarten age. She wasn't quite in school yet, but I was really confused to see an older kiddo that was at the park, and I was like, so are they not in school, or and then the parents kind of talked to me about what they did, setting up curriculum and things like that. So as far as school is concerned, I just kind of winged it. I went out and I found a bunch of research and different kinds of curriculums that kind of fit with my vibe, or with what I felt like the girls needed to learn. And we just kind of like, we do a curriculum, and then there were things that worked and things that didn't quite work or gel, or there were other things out there that I thought would be kind of cool to bring in. And so we just kind of incorporate those things over time. But I know there was a lot of things in school that I felt like wasn't covered or wasn't, discussed or taught. And I thought, these are things that I want the girls to know, or at least be aware of before they leave the house, and so that would be, I'd find books, to read out loud and discuss and that kind of thing. But my teaching style evolves. So it goes here and there and everywhere and meanders, but a lot of my influence is by just kind of listening to other people. I get inspired a lot by other people. Like, that's why social media is good for me, because I'll see something that Sarah's doing. I'll be like, oh, that's good. We should totally try that, or whatever. And or get a tip on a cool book or something, and just incorporate that into what we do. So I get all kinds of ideas.
What does being a mother mean to you? That's kind of like a big question.
It is.
Yeah. I don't know. It really depends. Whatever part of it that you want to speak on.
Yeah, I mean, and I've been a mom since 19 years old. So I feel like I've been a mom for my whole life. But just caring for someone other than myself, where I have to, I have certain things that I like to do, and that's not necessarily what they like to do. So I have to pay attention to the things that kind of move them and motivate them. And it's very challenging, when you have your own way of doing things, that you've got to try and, help them navigate life and help them with their passions and things like that. So I have to go out and try and research and find those things for them. But I really want them to be surrounded by lots of love and lots of ideas and art and all of these things. And so you don't do that by sitting on a couch at home and not figuring that thing out. So I try to, expose them to as much as I can, either with music or with people and their, ideas and different things going on in the community, or even I can't wait till we go back out on tour, because that's another thing, like just exposing them to different cities and rolling up into Colorado and then seeing those gigantic mountains in front of them that they don't get in Colombia, kind of thing. And so I just, I guess being a mom is about helping you discover the things that turn your lights on, you know what I mean? Where you're just excited about life or inspired about the world around you, I guess.
So this is one of the questions that Sarah helped us with, but what parts of your childhood help influence how you raise us?
I didn't have a lot of the nurturing stuff that really helped me towards the things that I was passionate about. And so I feel like I mean, there was a lot of love in my childhood, but they didn't quite know how to navigate that. And I don't think anyone just is born knowing how to navigate life, but I think I just reflect a lot on what I want to impart to you, or what I want for you guys to to know, to feel confident, because life can be really difficult, and it's better with people, and it's better, you know what I'm saying? And it's better. That was one thing that I was thinking about, is like just learning how to cope when you have a bad day, you know, like what kind of things can you do? What kind of things can you do to kind of come out of that darkness, and even just to pamper yourself, you know, like a bath, or going for a walk, or listening to music, or that kind of thing. And so I really, you know, I want to be able to impart those kinds of things, because you can go into really dark places when you don't have those, you know, I don't know. I always tell them list everything. So if you're sick, here are the things you can do on your list. Or, you know, when you're feeling terrible, sometimes you don't know how to put one foot in front of the other. So if you got that list, you can be like, okay, make a sandwich, you know, like just go down these things for coping, and kind of getting yourself back to a place where you feel grounded again. And then you can, you know, kind of tackle it.
All right. How did you learn harmony?
My mom, probably, because that was my mom's favorite thing, is harmony.
Yeah.
So we would sit in the car, and we'd find our, you know, our places in the music, and scream sing in the car, you know, to everything. But she was into Anne Murray and Crystal Gale, and you know, just whatever was on the radio. And so we would, like, I always was so proud of myself that I could harmonize with my mom. So I think that just stuck with me, because now every time I hear a song, I hear does is go to the harmony part, you know? like where's the high part harmony here, low part harmony here? So
yeah.
All
right. What's the biggest lessons that you hope to lessons that you hope to impart to your children? It's another big one.
To love. I mean, that's the biggest thing for me, is because I feel like that's the biggest issue in the world, is division, and not trying to understand other people, or other ways, or other cultures, other, you know what I'm saying? And I think that keeps us from learning and growing, and that kind of thing. So the connecting thing that you were talking about earlier, I've learned so much from just being connected to someone else, and them giving me some idea, or, you know, just maybe even hardships that I don't think of, you know, in my own life, but things that they're going through. So if you take the time to get to know people and connect, and I mean, with your music, that's kind of our biggest conversation, is how much music affects another person. It could be what they're going through, or, you know, what their family's going through, or whatever, and it resonates with them. And music is such a connector. And so for me, it's like learning how to get through the awkward moments. It's okay to feel weird about communicating, or that kind of thing, but it's like the best way to understand people. You know what I mean? Just, I guess, connecting with others and loving others would be the biggest lesson.
That's good. I think one more. What tips would you give other parents in regard to encouraging creativity in their children?
I think the biggest thing for me is that whenever people start doing things like guitar or whatever, they'll start getting the calluses, or it's not making the sound that in your brain, you want to be a rock star, right? That you start out and it's like, this sucks, you know? So you might put the real effort in for 2 weeks, and then you're just like, nah, you know? And I think that, I don't know, I feel kind of mean sometimes when you guys are first learning something, because it feels so awkward and you just don't want to do it. You don't have the interest to do it. But for me, it's like, let's get you through the hard part for a little while, you know, so that you can start to feel confident, like this thing is an extension of you. And then your creative part of your brain can turn on and go, what do I want to learn next? Because now I can accomplish these chords or whatever. So I think getting through the hard part, you know, is what it's really hard, because kids will get discouraged. And so there's got to be a lot of encouraging, and a lot of, like, maybe even challenging, or, you know, hey, let's get through this, you know. And it's not, you know, we remember the practices, not always fun, right?
Yeah.
Like, the practices are probably the least fun. But it really has honed you into the amazing artist that you are, because it's consistent. So stay consistent. If it's something that you can really see in your kids as a passion, like they just, like in their bedroom, they're listening to music, they always have earbuds in, they're, they just love music. Finding a way, like we went through several instruments with Bella. She started out with the ukulele, which in my brain was, we should start her on ukulele. It's small, it could go everywhere with her, but she put in a little bit of effort, and it just was not, you could just tell the light just wasn't on there, for her with that. And she tried drums, which, at first it was like, ooh, badass, I can play drums, but it just wasn't, again, after a while, it was just not a thing. But for some reason, the bass was just something that she just kind of felt like, that's my groove, So, just encouraging her with that. And there were times in practice, she was just like, I'm sick of this. I'm like, just keep going, keep going. And now she learned a difficult piece recently, the like Caravan, which blew my mind. She just challenged herself. And now it's like, she's practicing Stevie Wonder, and like within 2 days, she's got this thing down, like almost finished. And I'm like
Sir Duke bass line, like that's crazy.
Yeah. So
she's 11.
Right.
It's like really insane.
So if you can get through the hard part, they still have much to learn. They still have much to improve and much to learn, and new inspirations that will come. But just getting through that creative period of difficulty, surround them with real people that do the things that they do, because sometimes maybe the dynamic between like the kids and I may be like, oh, they're, mom's always around, but she can relate to like Zach Harrison or, other people in the community where their lights are turned back on, like, oh, this is fun, and then they're doing their music again through, the connections with other people. So I would just say, try to connect them to as many real live people that they can, look to for inspiration. Surround them with all kinds of things that, just to try, because you never know what's going to be the inspiration leading to the next piece of art kind of thing. So connecting again.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we have for that. We have a couple songs to share with you guys.
I was thinking maybe we could do a couple of questions from everyone, and we could close out with some songs. How do you all feel about that?
Perfect. Yeah.
I actually did have a question, and I'm going to hand off to Carrie. Carrie will be handling the Q&A. So if you have a question, you can DM it to Carrie, and she can filter those for you. Or you can feel free to turn your sound on and ask your question. But my question is, you've answered it a little bit, but is as a mom, or just as an adult in a young person's life. So my example is, I'm 36. My little brother just turned 15 yesterday. And he also is like learning, he's taught himself how to play like 5 different instruments. It's just something I was a musical theater girl, so I was singing show tunes as a teenager, but he's like wanting to learn bass lines just like your daughter is. And he does get frustrated along the way when he's learning new things. And we watched him do what I think Emma said, which was go through like 50 different hobbies before finding something. I guess my question is, for people who have young people in their lives, how do you know when to let a kid quit? Like, how do you know when to let them, like my brother played football, but then he was really bad at it and he really hated it and wanted to quit mid-season. And we were just like, you can quit. That's fine if you don't want to do that. So I'm just wondering, like, how do you know when to let your kids or let young people just leave something behind to try something new? You mentioned in your youngest daughter how you just didn't see her like excited about it, but just as a mom, when do you say, yeah, that's fine, we can put that away and try something new? Or do you make them finish something they started? Or what's your philosophy?
Well, the thing is like, there's no real like right answer, right? Yeah. So you do definitely have to pay attention, but you also have to recognize that maybe there hasn't been consistency, maybe we haven't been practicing a little extra, maybe there's a tutor, so to speak, or someone in the community that might be able to kind of push them over that hump or that kind of thing. So for Bella, I could just she just didn't pick it up naturally. Like, you know, like in the house, if she goes into her room and does it because she just wants privacy, because she's not quite sure about, you know, how good she is, that would make me think, okay, she really does want to learn this thing. She's just struggling because, you know, whatever, but she just wasn't picking it up. And, you know, with the girls, I was paying for lessons with Emma when she was really little with violin. And she just, like, we would just argue all the time about practicing, and we were paying $80 a month. And I was just like, listen, we're going to get through this month. You need to practice. And she just wasn't doing it. And I was like, okay, we're going to go ahead and quit paying for lessons. And she's like, that's fine. I don't want to do lessons. So I was like, okay. So then after like a couple of months, she was seeing people play violin again. And she's like, I really think I can do it now. And I'm like, but $80 a month is a lot to pay for lessons if you're not going to consistently do it every single day, you know? So I let her kind of sweat for a month or two about that. And then it, you know, got her back into it. But I think you just have to recognize what they're struggling with. And maybe, like for me, maybe just telling them to practice is not enough. Maybe, you know, you need to call that teacher up and say, can you maybe do a video that they could play to? Or I'm going to send them, I'm going to have her do something today to send over to you on video. And so you can critique. So you can kind of keep the flow going where they get stuck, you know? And that might get them over the hump to go ahead and, you know, keep going forward. But I don't know that there's any, you know, specific time frame that you should quit it. I just know that, especially with music, you can get really frustrated and just be like, I just can't do this. And it's really just, you need to just find another way for them to learn. Like with, they taught themselves a lot on YouTube, but I would say, go find this song of yours on YouTube, but go find it in 10 different forms, because someone out there is going to like have a way that reaches you. You know what I'm saying? One person may not be a great teacher, or they're weird, or you know, like the way they're teaching is just not resonating. But another person is like, oh, I like that style, you know? So just finding different ways to get to the same end, you know what I'm saying? Where they have kind of a like, oh, this is fun, you know, make it, you know, getting to that point. I don't know if that answered.
No, it does. It's fascinating because he's just the kind of kid who got apathetic about a lot of things and was like, nah, just like shrugged. And then he got a bass for Christmas about 3 years ago. And like every day, all day on summer break, he spent in the basement, like learning songs. And we would hear him from downstairs and be like, oh my God, is that him? Like, I couldn't believe like what he was able to do, but he just like didn't like a traditional setting for a teacher. So he was just YouTubing or printing out the music or finding it online and learning. Now he has 4 bass, 3 guitars, a drum set, you know, like he's like learning everything, but it's the first time we've ever seen him be interested in something. And
that's so great.
You know? So anyhow, yeah. So
awesome.
Cool.
Carrie, do you have any other questions that have been submitted?
Yeah, we've got a couple. The first one for the sisters. What is something that you would like to pass down to future generations?
I think I would like for people to not forget like what our music came from. I think that's like really important to me. Like a lot of kids these days that are playing music that are inspired by the pop music now, which is totally okay and totally justifiable. But I think the world of music opened up hugely to me whenever I was able to look at what artists came before me, especially like 50s and 60s music, and even before, like bluegrass music and stuff like that, that's very, very old. And, you know, there's so many songs that of course you can't listen to all of them, but it's great to know where you came from and how everything connects in music and who influenced who and stuff like that. And like older music is very, very precious to me, and there's a lot that you can learn from it. So that's something I would tell future generations.
Yeah, that's great. For me too, I guess it would just be like Nothing is impossible. Like I was saying, people will say, oh yeah, and I can be a rocket engineer or something. And you can be if you tried,
Yeah.
So
You just got to work really hard at whatever you do, and working really hard is going to pay off no matter what. It's like a karma thing.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you for that. A fun question for you. If you could collaborate with any musician or band, who would it be?
Ooh, wow. It would be really cool to collaborate with the Avett Brothers. Of course. Everyone knows that we love the Avett Brothers.
Ray LaMontagne.
Ray LaMontagne would be awesome. Also, I would love to do a song with Phoebe Bridgers.
Mm-hmm. There's a cute story about like when they started off, because when we would do those 2 meetings in the very beginning, the first thing I wanted them to do is just dream, is like, where do you want to go? Where do you want to play? And we were playing on the streets at the time, and we didn't know anyone and didn't have our network built up. And they were like, we want to play for Rose Music Hall. And I was like, okay, let's write it down. Let's put the intention down. And I'm like, well, dream bigger though. And they're like, Blue Note. And they just started giggling, and I'm like, okay, we'll put the Blue Note down. And I'm like, but go way big, like huge. Where would you want to wind up? And they were like, Scott's Trade Center or something like that. And I was like, okay, let's write it down. It's on the paper, And I said, but if you had the chance to sing with one of your favorite singers, who would it be? Or open for, And they were like, the Avett Brothers. And they're like, yeah, right. And they just giggled and giggled. And I'm like, listen, if this is the industry you want to be in, you have to have the audacity to believe that you're going to be right alongside these people. So we're going to write down the Avett Brothers. And one of the proudest moments that I've had so far is like about 1.5 years later, we were asked to play Roots and Blues. The Avett Brothers were a couple of bands after us. We got to go backstage and meet the Avett Brothers. I have pictures of them hugging the Avett Brothers, and they met them, by their bus. And it's just one of those things that's like, if you want to do something, write it down and obsess over figuring out how to navigate that, and how, like, go look at the leaders. What did they do? That kind of thing. And I just, so that's what I try to instill in their brain is, don't think that it's just crazy. Like, if you want it, like, there's so much information out there, and there's so many people that are pulling for you to make it, so yeah, that's what I would say.
So I've got one more question. This is for you, April. This is from Kylie. I have a 12-year-old son, and he's an only child who's obsessed with gaming and YouTube. He also happens to have a beautiful voice and is very coordinated. Any advice on how I can inspire him to explore his musical/creative side instead of secretly binging gaming videos on YouTube?
Well, I tell you what, there's a lucrative career in gaming because it's so huge. But I will say, that for the girls, one of the first things that we did was go into our community and meet real life people that did the things that we loved, which was, we were fans first, going to live music and going and meeting the people that sang. And he might be more interested in meeting young people that are doing the same. I know that's one thing that we do is go play for schools, and we'll do workshops with kids, and then they'll do a concert, for the whole school afterwards. And it's just so inspiring. Like, there's been a lot of kids that are like, oh my gosh, I got a ukulele the other day, and you inspired me to do this. And the girls actually write them. I mean, they are growing their network, but also growing their friendships, and so there's flat out adults that have picked up instruments because of what the girls inspired them to do. So maybe finding someone that kind of turns that light on, like maybe it's a kid, maybe it's not, maybe it's an older adult in town that, spend some time with them. But sometimes just getting them out of the house and getting them in front of other people where you can see that light go on. Like with Emma, with the violin, we always watched Little House on the Prairie when we were little, right? And she was just so like in awe about how Pa would play that fiddle and everybody would dance and have a great time, right? So when I put her in lessons, because I thought that naturally you just put them in lessons, they were teaching her Suzuki violin. Well, that's not what Pa played. That's like classical stuff, and I'm not saying that's wrong at all, but she just couldn't get it. The light just didn't go on. And until like several years later, when she saw Molly Healy playing in the band with the K Brothers, and there's that bluegrass feel that, you know, that fiddle like Pa played, and you could just see her like, you know, and she just picked it right back up, went into her bedroom like Jekyll and Hyde and stayed there forever. You had to slide food under the door kind of thing. And she taught herself the whole K Brothers set. And I mean, it blew everybody's mind, you know, but that's where her heart was, is that kind of thing. So maybe it's just going out and finding the real people in the community that might light that fire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks so
I
much.
wasn't sure if this was like an answer back sort of thing, but
Oh,
I appreciate that, because he also loves beatboxing. Like, he is constantly beatboxing, and it's like, how do I'm like, keep doing it, but how do I don't beatbox, and I don't know what, you know? So that is actually a really good idea, to like find real human beings that aren't just on the screen, you know?
For sure.
Well,
So I appreciate
even
that.
like maybe try an open mic night or something, because like actually like getting the reaction from the crowd can make you want to do it again.
Yeah, true. And
So
performing,
I feel you.
yeah, performing also gets addicting. It's like really fun, and it can like motivate you to, you know, keep playing music.
Amen. Thank you, ladies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, you're a great performer, so there's that.
Oh, thanks. Well, sometimes when I sing around the house, Jack is like, "Mom, stop."
Oh,
it's
I
like,
totally get this. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like but then in the car he's singing along, but then he's like, "You didn't see that." He's like very like, "Don't acknowledge me enjoying this," and so it almost annoys him when I try to encourage him. Yeah. So it's like, how do I do it without being annoying?
Just like push him towards someone else so that you're not looking, but he's having fun doing it.
And the instruments around the house, that's huge. Like, I'm about to go look for a keyboard right now. So that's like, yeah, that's a good idea. Thank
Put
you.
it right next to the gaming. So.
Yeah, thank y'all so much. This has been such a pleasure. I'm definitely a fangirl. So when I moved to Columbia 5 years ago, my roommates were Heidi Sharp and Gretchen Allen were my roommates. And so I went to a lot of K Brother shows, like a lot of shows. Sarah was there for most of them. I didn't know anyone in town, and I lived with those girls maybe 3 months. I'd probably been to 17 K Brother shows, learned every song, but the girls were at a few of those. And so I'm definitely a fan as an adult of your music. So such a pleasure to have you here. I did want to give you the opportunity to play some music for us and close us out, and then we'll go from there.
Also, thank you guys very much for having us. I appreciate
we're
that.
happy. Let's see.
Yeah,
let's set those up somehow. So one of Mom's favorite artists is James Taylor. So we're gonna play one of his songs.
All right.
Thank you.
That's awesome. What a surprise.
Yeah, what a surprise. Awesome. We can play one more if you want us to.
Yeah, we'd love that. I love Carole King, by the way. So whenever you sing that song, I don't think James Taylor, I think Carole King.
Yeah, Carole King's version is so good. I love it. Yeah, so our mom used to sing this to us when we were little, a lot. And we used to listen to the Adele version, but the song is by Bob Dylan. When the rain is blowing in your face and the whole world is on I could offer you a warm embrace to make you feel my love. When the evening shadows and the stars appear and there's no one there to dry a tear, I could hold you for a million years to make you feel my love. I know you haven't made your mind up yet, but I would never do you wrong. I've known it from the moment that we met. No doubt in my mind that you belong. I'd go hungry, I'd go black and white. I'd go crawling down the avenue. No, there's nothing that I wouldn't do to make you feel my love. The storms are raging on the rolling sea, on the highway of regret. The winds of change are blowing wild and free. You ain't seen nothing like me yet. I could make you happy, make your dreams come true. No, there's nothing that I wouldn't do. Go to the ends of the earth to make you feel my love. Oh, to make you feel my love.
Yeah.
Thank
That was
you.
awesome. Thank y'all so much for being here. Do you have any upcoming Columbia shows that we could know about or somewhere nearby that we can tell folks about?
Yeah, next weekend we're playing at Catfish Katie's in Columbia.
Oh yeah, I didn't. Is Catfish Katie's staying open? I guess in my mind I thought they were closing it.
They have new ownership, I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's June 27th?
June 27th, and I think it's 5 to 8. So it should be on our site. Yeah, set time 5 to 8.
5 to 8. So cool.
Yeah,
If
Sarah, are
I'm
we
out
going
of
to
town, is there another date afterwards? Do you guys have other lineups?
Well, we're doing a lot of traveling and touring.
Yeah, we're going to like Tennessee and Colorado and stuff.
I think, yeah, that's really exciting. But
Yeah,
also,
it's awesome.
yeah, I think we're going to be back in Columbia at like, are we playing Les Bourgeois?
We are playing
I
Les
think it's, like,
Bourgeois
maybe
in August, but also Roots and Blues, guys. Go to Roots and Blues because they'll be on the main there.
Yeah, we will all keep those in mind. Again, thank you so much for being here. When we do relaunch in-person events, we would love to have you come back and be our musical guest for those events. So we'll keep in touch. Sarah will keep you updated on all that info. But such a pleasure having all three of you here today. So thanks for being here, and we will see you next time.
Bye. Love you guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.